Nation of Fit in 10, it is day 32, and a friendly reminder for you to send in your feedback, www.trainonmain.com/fit in 10 check-in. Again, this is great for me to answer your questions, and hopefully I can help you, but also it's a point of accountability, and accountability is huge. And you want to be accountable. Ultimately, this is for you, but also it does help if you have somebody that you don't want to disappoint. Now, disappoint is really not maybe the right way to think about this, because ultimately I want to help you, but you can think of it that way because it puts more pressure on you, right? Because everybody, I think, needs a certain amount of, well, maybe not everybody, there are outliers, but most people need pressure. Certainly there are aspects in my life where I know I could use a coach just from the aspect of accountability. Okay, so send in your feedback. I'm going to highly encourage that you do. You don't have to do anything in this challenge, but I highly encourage you to do that. One other thing I want to remind you of is to make sure you log everything. Now, I know this might sound obvious when I say log your food, but I have dealt with many cases before in the past where people are only logging some of their food. And then, of course, it doesn't represent actually what reality is. So make sure you log everything, even if it's stuff that you think you don't want me to see, right? Because we have to go by what is real, okay? And quick story on this. I had a competitive client, this goes back a long time ago, but this just really stands out in my mind. This was back in, I want to say, yeah, I can say her name, Whitney. This is probably 2010 or 2011. One of those years. I think it was 2010. Anyways, I had her, then this is, obviously this diet was much more strict, but her weight was just not coming down. And so I was taking a look at her journal and I said, "Are you putting in everything?" And she's like, yes. And of course, she wasn't dropping more. And I said, okay, here's what you're gonna do. She actually worked, at the time she worked near where I lived. I said, you're gonna come over to my place every single day and I'm gonna take a look at you in your posing suit. So this put a lot of pressure on her because she knew that I need to see progression every single day. And of course, as soon as she started to do that, or as soon as I had her do that, the weight started to come down. And it's not like we made changes to her diet or anything. It was just that point of accountability. So there was something else she was doing and not telling me, but the pressure of the accountability really came through. So, and then ultimately she ended up telling me that, I was having actually she was eating candy on the side. So everything matters, okay? Everything matters, whether it's healthy or whether you deem it as healthy or you don't deem it as healthy, all the extra calories matter, okay? And this doesn't mean that less is always better, and it doesn't mean that more is better. I just want you to get the macros as closely as you can. And again, your macros make up your calories. I want you to get those macro numbers as close to the targets as I set out for you as possible, okay? Get as close to those numbers as possible. All right, let's get into some questions here. Anyways, the whole point of that was just accountability. Accountability really makes a difference, if you don't already know. Okay, questions. Name something specific you can improve upon for the following week. I'm going to start writing down how much I'm lifting for all major exercises, so I can try to lift a little bit more each time. Yes, and you will see increments. You'll see your strength really progress in the beginning of your journey into weight training, which is exciting because you kind of get spoiled in the beginning. Also, your muscle mass will climb so long as you're eating sufficient calories and getting enough protein. You're going to see your muscle mass go up as well. Name something specific you need help with. Which type of amino acid supplement would you recommend? Okay, so it depends on what you're wanting to get out of it. So there are certain amino acids that will keep you alert. There are certain amino acids that will help your gut lining. There are certain amino acids that will help with recovery. There are all kinds of different amino acids that will do, different things essentially. But if I had to lay one out there just as a building block, it would be an essential amino acid supplement. So this is going to be the 9 essential amino acids that your body cannot make on its own. So the only way you can get them is through dietary means. And this is really important because these are the building blocks for not just your muscles, but for pretty much everything in your body. Every tissue in your body with the exception of fat, really. So I would take an an essential amino acid supplement. Now, if you're having really good quality protein in your diet, animal sources, again, this is not a knock on being vegan, it's just simply what is. You shouldn't really require this if you're getting adequate amount of protein and good quality sources. So if I had to go a step beyond this and recommend something, and it was a type of amino acid, then maybe we might shoot with something like glutamine. And glutamine is the most abundant amino acid in muscle tissue. It plays a vital role in the underlying foundation of white blood cells, specifically neutrophils, if I'm not mistaken. These make up 70% of your white blood cells. So it's a very important part of your immunity. It's also very good for the gut lining. Is there anything you'd like me to cover in this week's video series? What is the minimum amount of sleep? Okay, I talked about this in a couple videos ago, and so I won't go too much into it, although this is certainly not my wheelhouse. There's much more I'm sure I could learn about this, for sure. Minimum 7 hours. Minimum amount of sleep, 7 hours. Now, people are going to differ a bit on this. For me, ultimately, 8 or more, 8 to 9 hours is where I feel really well rested. 8.5 to 9 more specifically, and me personally, I feel really, really well rested. If I happen to take a week off from the gym, which I do every so often, although I've only done it once actually in the last couple of years, I do notice that over time my sleep requirements tend to shorten a bit. Not tremendously, but a bit. So especially with all the weight training and the extra recovery that you're going through, at least 7. Is there a difference in quality of various foods that fit the same macro? Example, sweet potato versus rice versus pasta. This is a great question. How are we doing for time? Okay, let's get to the message of the day, and I will address this one tomorrow. This is a good question, but there's lots of pieces to look at this. There's lots of different ways to look at this. Okay, so there's not one way of looking at this. So I'll address this tomorrow because I will not get this done. The video will just be longer, so I'm trying to do my best to keep these under 10 minutes. If you ever watch any of my old videos, which you probably don't, but if you did, if you ever went back on some of my old videos, which you'd see some really good rants, by the way, you'll see that some of them are like 15 minutes. Okay. So today's message of the day, day 32. Success is connected with action. Successful people keep moving. They make mistakes, but they don't quit. And, I really don't like the word success, like successful and unsuccessful. This is kind of like, a finish line type thing, and I really don't like that, and I don't like boxing things in, but we can look at success as, you may look perhaps at someone or something that's been developed and think, how was it ever possible? How did somebody do that? So you can think of it in that way as a success, perhaps. And really, there was a whole process that went behind whatever led to that success, and that process involves ups and downs. Oftentimes people ask me sometimes in the gym, it's like, my strength is down today. How is that possible? How's my strength down? It's just the process. Over time, your strength will go up, but you're gonna have ups and downs. It's just life, and that applies to everything. So we can't get caught up. Believe me, this is great advice for myself. especially in the past. You can't get caught up in the little things or the little, stumbling areas. That's just part of the process. That is in and of itself what will happen when you're working towards something grand, or especially when you're working towards something grand. You're gonna have these ups and downs. But really the point here is, and you've heard me say this before, is the progression. You're looking for the progression in what you're doing. And this is why it's really good to measure things. I'm not talking specifically about your food here. I'm talking about, measuring, writing down your weights in the gym, making note of all the things that you're working towards, and then, making little adjustments to those small targets that you have. So it's really about progression. And then the added progression is, you can think of it as success, if you like. Okay, so remember, success means more progression when I'm talking about this. So I'll read it one more time. Success is connected with action, or progression is connected with action. Successful people keep moving. They make mistakes, believe me. They make mistakes, but they don't quit. And remember, the more that you try, the more mistakes you're likely to make. So just, sometimes you feel like when you make a lot of mistakes, maybe you're just not meant to do what you're supposed to do, but really it's just all part of the process, right? Okay, positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for love of God, give some gratitude, and I'll talk to you all very soon. See you guys.